Hello everyone, that manga kid here. I'm doing a mid-month manga haul here because a friend of mine gave me 100 volumes of manga for free. She was looking to get rid of them, found out I had a manga collection, asked me if I wanted them. I said absolutely. Had no idea what she had. I just said I will take literally anything. If I end up with doubles, so be it. So out of 100 volumes, two of them are doubles, so that's pretty good. I walked home. It was about a 17-minute walk. I walked home with 100 volumes of manga in 2 bags and a backpack, and my arms are killing me. But it was worth it. There's some really cool stuff here. The 2 volumes that are doubles, this is a Yaoi 2 volume series, Only Serious About You. One of my favorite Yaoi series I own, actually. Now I have doubles of them. I may have a friend who might want them, and if not, I can trade them in at my local used bookstore for some other manga. But yeah, only 2 volumes out of 100 are doubles, which is pretty decent. The next one, not very exciting, is one of the Tokyopop sneaks from fall 2003. It shows you on the cover the different manga that are sampled in here. I am actually interested in reading the sneak peeks from a couple of these things, and then after I do that, I will just cut this up and use it for crafts. This isn't really worth anything, but it's not going to go to waste, and I'm not unhappy to have it because I'll definitely use it for crafts. And then there's a little stack here of stuff that is not manga. This is Antarctic Press pocket manga. This is a short story collection of what they're calling shoujo stories, and none of which are by any Japanese authors. But yeah, it doesn't seem that interesting to me. But I mean, it was free. I didn't have to pay anything for it. So, and then there's a few others. Like this is just an English Tokyopop release. Penguin Bros. This actually looks kind of cute. I have some family members who might want to read that. And then this is Antarctic Press again. This is Ninja High School. I got a bunch of random volumes of this. Again, not a Japanese. It's just a regular comic. Apparently pretty popular, I guess. I was doing some research on these different series, and it's not something that I'm particularly interested in, but clearly it was a well-loved comic book series because there was a lot of them. But yeah, and then this is Ninja High School Hawaii. So I don't have a lot of it, and I don't think I have volume 1 either. No. But I may try flipping through a couple volumes of this. But again, I can always trade stuff in for other stuff at some of my local bookstores, so I'm not stressed about having things that I'm not particularly interested in. And then just the one last our Antarctic Press series is Gold Digger, which apparently this is extremely popular, or was, and I do have volume 1 of it, so I guess I can read that. But I got quite a few volumes of this, and this seems to be a very popular series just from my very kind of base level research I was doing yesterday. Again, not something that particularly interests me, and then this is a spin-off series of Gold Digger, but not something that particularly interests me, but I'm not opposed to just flipping through it a bit and seeing what it's about. And then I'll just get into some of I think this is the last original English language story. This is another Tokyopop release, Sakura Refugees. No idea what it's about. It's a volume 2. Not really interested all that much, but yeah. Then we got a random volume 3 of A Little Snow Fairy Sugar. There are the different creators and everything there. This actually looks really cute. It's a 3-volume series, so this is the final volume. Unfortunately, I don't have volumes 1 and 2, but it looks really cute, and this is how I used to collect manga. I used to just collect random volumes of everything, and whenever I found manga, and then I'd fill in the gaps later. So maybe one day in the future. It's also an ADV release. Maybe one day in the future I'll come across the first 2 volumes and get to enjoy the series, but it just looks pretty cute. Art's, of its time, but next up, I got a few volumes of Pita 10, which I know was a very popular series. I've not read it personally. I'm not opposed to reading it, and this is Koge Danbo, but I've just never read it, and so now I have a few volumes of it to read. This is volume 3, and I'm not too familiar with what it's about, but I think I have 5 volumes of it now, and I know that a lot of people really love this series. I used to hear a lot about it back when it was released, and I'm pretty sure that people still really like it. I think it's one of those ones that people are pretty, like the people who do love it really, really love it and are quite outspoken about it, so I am interested to read these 5 volumes. I believe it was an 8-volume series or something like that. I'm only missing a few of the last volumes, so that's kind of nice. And then I've got quite a few random volumes of the Slayer series. This is Super Explosive Demon Story, Legend of Darkness. There are the authors down there. This is an old CPM manga release. This says volume 1. I know that Slayers has a lot of, I think, side stories and random things. This says volume 3, but it is a bit of a, it's still CPM manga, but it's a different kind of edition than this, I guess. I don't know. I don't know much about Slayers. I know I just see a lot of it at used bookstores quite often. This is Lena the Teenage Sorceress, and this one says volume 6 on it, but I don't know if this is the same continuation of this story or not, because it's again in a completely different size and edition. And then this one is the Clare Bible. This says volume 7. Yeah, I'm not sure how this goes kind of chronologically, no idea. But this one is Slayer's Special, Lesser of Two Evils, and I used to read manga like randomly, and so if I found a random volume 5 or 6, I would just read that volume, and this is Slayer's Return. And I'm not opposed to doing that. I think that obviously reading chronologically is the best way to do it, but you can still get the gist of a story and characters and still enjoy something without like when you randomly read a volume of it. And I've got a couple things here that I can probably read and kind of get the gist of what this series is about. And if it's worth, looking into trying to get more of it, I don't know. But I got these for free, and I'm not opposed to flipping through them and reading them. And next up, I got the first 3 volumes of Hyper Dolls, and this is a Iron Cat release. I don't have anything else by this publisher. I think this was published in 2000, if I remember correctly, in English in 2000, because I think I remember looking at my mom and going, this volume is like 20 years old, and looks quite well taken care of. This is, I'm assuming, a sci-fi story. They look like they're in space and some kind of superheroes or something. I'm not entirely sure what this is about. It looks fascinating to me. It's got some really nice older art to it, and I'm excited to read this. I believe, so when I looked it up, I was a bit confused about how many volumes this is, because I couldn't find this particular, I think it's been in different editions in Japan and in English, so it said 5 volumes, I think, somewhere, but then somewhere else I read 6, and so I'm not entirely sure, but I have the first 3, so I can still read a bit of this and again get the gist of the story, and maybe come across the rest of it in the future. I'm not sure, but it's always fun to add a new publisher to my collection as well, and to add something I've never heard of. So and then I have 4 volumes. Unfortunately, missing volume 1. It would have made it complete. Of Marionette Generation. And this seems to be. I don't really understand. I think it's like. I don't know. I was a bit confused by the synopsis on the back. All I know is this art looks really gorgeous. These are really old Viz releases. Um, and I have volumes 2 through 4, or 5, sorry, 2 through 5, missing volume 1. This one says final on it, and I did look it up. It is a 5-volume series. So unfortunately, missing volume 1. I will look for volume 1 and try and complete this. It looks like I love the art. It looks really beautiful. And it does seem to be up my alley just from what I've flipped through. But yeah, unfortunately, no volume 1, but once I get volume 1, I will have the complete series. Oh, knocking things over here. Okay. Next up, I have 2 volumes of Antique Bakery. This is volumes 2 and 3, I believe. Yep, 2 and 3, and this is an old DMP release. This is Fumi Yoshinaga, who I have read other works by. I really like Fumi Yoshinaga, and I really do like Antique Bakery. I believe I watched the anime for it many, 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 many years ago. Unfortunately, I do not have volumes 1 or 4, so that will be something I will be on the lookout for in the future, but again, this is a series I've had my eye on for a while, so to get 2 volumes for free is quite nice. But yeah, it's kind of a boys' love, sort of, like, it's more shonen I think, than yaoi, but, and it's set in a pastry shop, but yeah, or a bakery, I guess. Next up, I have 2 volumes of In the Walnut, a yaoi series I have never heard of. This is an old June release. These are quite thick. It is I believe, a 3-volume series, so I am missing the final volume, but 2 volumes is good enough for me. If I find the 3rd volume in the future, great, but if not, at least I can read these 2. It is about art. Like, it's about artists. I think it's set in a museum or something like that, but I really don't know much about this series at all. Very excited to read it, though. It looks quite cool. And yeah, it's just an older yaoi series that I've never heard of, and I'm always on board with that. Next up, another old, not as old, but an older June title, Little Butterfly. This one, I cannot remember how many volumes this is, but I only have volume 1. I think this one is about childhood friends, if I remember correctly. And they're just kind of growing closer together. Yeah, not one I've ever heard of before, but excited to read volume 1. Let's take a break from the yaoi for a little bit here, and this is volume 1 of Gadget by Hiroyuki Eto. This looks really familiar to me. I don't know why. It's an old ADV release. I've never read this. I know that for certain, and I've never, like, I don't remember where I would have seen or heard of this, but this cover looks so familiar to me. But anyway, I only have volume 1, but that's fine with me. I will read this. It's about, I think the age is a bit younger, like the reading age, but yeah, and the art style is a bit interesting, but I'm sure that I will get some level of enjoyment out of this, and I really love the cover. This is really neat art, so I'm quite excited to have it in my collection. Next up, I got volume 7 of Guruguru Pon-chan. This is Satomi Ikizawa, who did Othello, which I have, and it was okay, and I know that this is not the series for me. This is about a dog that turns into a girl or something. And I remember reading the preview for it in Othello and being like, this seems nothing like nothing I would enjoy. I really like the cover art. Can't read it anyway. It's volume 7. And it's a really old Del Rey release. Like that is not a recent, like Del Rey doesn't publish anymore anyway, but that is not a recent. I don't have anything else with those markings on the spine. But yeah, I like the art. I like Ikizawa's art, but her stories are not really for me. Yeah. Next up, another series I've never heard of, Planet Ladder. This is an old Tokyo Pop release in like pristine condition. It seems to be some kind of fantasy. It says something about tarot cards on the back, and now she's in a land where they're calling her princess. All I know is these covers are absolutely gorgeous, and I am excited to read this. Now, I have volumes 1 through 6. There are 7 in total, so I am missing the final volume, which will suck when I get to the end of it and probably will want to know how it ends. But to have 6 out of 7 of them, I'm happy with that. That's fine. But I've never heard of this series, and the covers are absolutely gorgeous. So I'm very excited to see what this series is really about and how it kind of plays out, because yeah, I'm always interested in stuff that I've never heard of and trying things out, and these look really beautiful. So yeah. All of the manga is falling. Okay. Next up, 2 volumes. This is volume 1 of Tokyo Mew Mew, and then this is volume 2 of Tokyo Mew Mew, Mew Mew a la mode, which I am assuming is a different series, like a spin-off or a second series. I'm not sure. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I've never read Tokyo Mew Mew, never had an interest in it. I know what it is, obviously. It's another one that has quite a following for it, and is one that I was always hearing about in the past, but I've never had an interest in trying it out. These are obviously, you can see they're quite beat up editions, but I mean, I'll read volume 1, see what it's about, but I'm not really that interested. Next up, I got volume 1 of Princess Ninja Scroll Tenka Muso. The art on this is quite nice. This is another old DMP release. I don't really know much about it, but I like the art. It's a beautiful volume. So, yeah, that's that. Now back into the Yaoi section. Got volume 1 of Hey Class President. I'm pretty sure I watched this anime a long time ago, and this is another new publisher to me. This is 801. I don't believe I have anything else by this publisher in my collection. This is explicit. It's like an OVA series. I don't remember how many volumes this one is, but I only have this first volume, which is fine. Sometimes with Yaoi, less is more. So then I have volume 1 of Kire Papa, and it's by Ryo Takagi. This is a deux is the I don't speak French, sorry. That's the publisher. I do have a few other Yaoi titles by this publisher, but this one is a little suspect. I am interested to see how this plays out. My impression, based on the thing on the back, is that it's a father who's very overprotective of his son, and he chases all the boys away from him, but there's one boy in particular who is not scared of the father and will not stay away from his son. I only have this first volume. I don't think I will ever search for more of this, but I guess I'm gonna find out. Next up, I have the first two volumes of his favorite. This is a Yaoi, or I guess more Shonen Ai than Yaoi series that I have been interested in buying for a very long time, but just never did. It is about this really popular guy who seems to be very interested in this dorky dude, and I've been told it is quite cute and really sweet and fun. Obviously, they're high school students. But yeah, no, I'm excited to have this. And these are in really good condition because this is one I've had my eye on for a long time and just never purchased. And I know this one is, oh, is it like, I think it's like 8 or 10 volumes or something like that. It's not super short. I think it's 10 volumes, but I could be wrong. But yeah, first two is good enough to start off. Next up, I have the first 4 volumes of Awkward Silence. This is another one I've had my eye on for a long time and just never purchased. This one is, I believe, it's 6 volumes or something. I think I'm just missing a couple of them. Maybe it's 8. I don't remember. But again, really nice condition on these. And, yeah. It seems to just be a generic high school yaoi or shonen ai, or it's got explicit content on it. Maybe it is a yaoi. But yeah, I'm interested to read it. I'm excited to have it, and will probably purchase the rest of it. Next up, more yaoi. This is more yaoi. This is Mr. Tiger and Mr. Wolf. I've not heard of this one. This is a 4-volume series, I believe, so I am missing the final 2. I think it was 4. Maybe it's 3. But I think I read it was 4 volumes. But it's basically exactly what the cover looks like. Another June title. But yeah, I mean, I'll take it. I will read it. I don't know how much I'm going to enjoy it, but I will read it. Next up, one that I'm quite excited for. I didn't actually know this had a manga release. This is The Tyrant Falls in Love. I had no idea this was ever released. This is June again. But this I had seen, I believe it's a 2-episode OVA series, which I have seen before. No idea it had a manga series, and no idea it had a manga series that was so long. This is a 12-volume series. Shocking to me. If you've seen that OVA, I don't know how much of this is, like, how much story could possibly be there, but anyway. Unfortunately, I'm missing volume 2, but other than that, I have volumes 1 and then 3 through volume 8. Like, I'm so excited for this. I hopefully will find volume 2, so at least I can read volumes 1 through 8, and then hopefully find the rest of it. I'm pretty sure it was all printed, but yeah, I had no idea this even had a physical print release, and that it had a manga that was so long in the first place. So this was a wonderful surprise. I'm sure this is extremely problematic because the OVA series is extremely problematic, but I know that going into it, and I'm going to enjoy this one thoroughly. So yeah, I mean, even if I'm missing volume 2, I can probably read all this without, you know, and I love the spines. It just looks great. I'm super excited for this. Yeah, I can probably get the gist of what's happening if I skip volume 2. But yeah, pretty interesting, and shocked to find out it was a 12-volume series. Next up, I have the first 3 volumes. This is an old Blue, which was Tokyo Pop's Yaoi imprint back in the day. This is Voice or Noise, which is a bizarre title. And this is about, I believe, this young man has an animal. I'm assuming it's the cat. Or maybe not the cat. He's got an animal that he needs to take to the vet. the vet recommends going to see this guy who speaks to animals, supposedly, and then he learns that he can also speak to animals. And so he wants to be his pupil, and he wants him to teach him the ways of speaking to animals, I guess. And the guy is not thrilled about it. So, yeah, the art on the covers is gorgeous. I am super excited to read this. I believe it's a 4-volume series, so again, missing the final volume, but I am sure that I can get enough enjoyment out of these 3. Next up, another blue old Tokyo Pop series. This is the Takumi Kun series, volumes 1 to 3. So this is June Pride, Barefoot Waltz, and Tales Out of Season. So my understanding is we follow Takumi Kun in all of these stories, and they kind of follow different, like they're sort of standalone stories, I think, but I don't quote me on that. I think this one was 12 volumes long. It had a lot of volumes, I know that, when I looked it up, but if they are what I'm assuming they are, which is kind of standalone stories that follow the same character, then it shouldn't really matter that I only have 3 of them, because all of them have a different, like, title. So, yeah, but I do have a few old blue releases already, so I'm interested to see some more of what Tokyo Pop was releasing back in the day. Next up, a very short break from Yaoi. I have the 3-volume series by Arina Tanemura. This is Time Stranger Kyoko, an old shoujo beat release. Something about time travel. I'm assuming fantasy-esque based on the covers. Probably not something I would ever have picked up and paid for, but to have the 3 volumes in really nice condition, I will absolutely read this, and who knows, I might enjoy it. I've never read anything else by Arina Tanemura, but I've heard a lot about her, and I think that these little pastel kind of colors are really cute and will look nice on my shelf. But, yeah. And back to Yaoi. I've got the 2-volume series, Complete Clear Skies, another old June title. I actually almost bought this first volume off my cousin like 3 or 4 years ago, and then didn't, because I wasn't interested in paying for it, because it seemed like the art was kind of bland, and I just wasn't interested in only having volume 1 when I knew it was a 2-volume series. And I'm glad I didn't buy it, because now I have both of them for free. I think it's about something about I think these guys all live together. It's kind of a family story, but then also there's a boys' love aspect to it. I don't think they're all related. I think they just live together. Some of them might be related, I don't know. But it seems pretty cute, and I'm excited to check out the story, and it's complete, so that's nice. Next up, I've got another complete old June title. This is Cant Win With You. This one looks adorable. I feel like I had the chance to buy this volume at one point and didn't. Again, I'm glad I didn't buy just one random volume, but this is the full series, volumes 1 to 3, and this is a really cute, seems to be just a school kind of shonen ai title about finding yourself and whatnot, but yeah, very, very excited to read this one. Next up, complete 2 volumes, Ordinary Crush. This is another high school romance. Not really anything outstanding from what I can tell, but maybe it will be good when I read it. Then I've got Vanilla, 2 volumes, and I believe this is also complete in 2 volumes. I really like the older kind of art style. This one, again, seems like a school romance, exploring your sexuality, trying to navigate being different. Next up, 4 volumes complete, Bond of Dreams, Bond of Love. This is another series that I've had my eye on for a while. Interested in. This one's still sealed, like store sealed, so clearly no one's ever read this. But yeah, this one is about this boy who is in love with, I think he's like a shrine worker or something at the neighborhood shrine or temple. I'm not entirely sure. He's some kind of figure at a local place that this boy goes to, and he's obsessed with him. From flipping through, it doesn't look like there is a lot of explicit content, but I guess I will find out. I'm excited to read this, and it is complete. Next up, I've got 2 volumes complete of Kanpai. This is by Maki Murakami, who did Gravitation. I've never read Gravitation. I have no idea what this is about. Clearly it is fantasy-esque, old Tokyo Pop title, but it is complete, and I really like the art inside, so I am interested to see what that's about. And finally, we have Princess Ai Complete Collection 3-in-1. This is obviously an old library copy and is very damaged and beat up, but excited to have it. I've been interested in reading this for a long time, and now I can read it, and yeah, it's not in great condition, but it is what it is. And that is it. That is all 100 volumes. Thank you for watching, and hopefully this was entertaining for you. See ya.